Aloha, my name is Charlene Kehaulani Kazner, and I am a Native Hawaiian. I am associated with Ainaha Okaleponi Hawaiian Civic Club here in Orange County, and also Pacific Islander Health Partnership. I am a two-time cancer survivor. In 2008, I was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and in 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So my second bout with cancer in 2020 resulted in three separate surgeries for that diagnosis, and I'm still pretty much recovering, but I'm in very good spirits and very good shape and very, very thankful for my good health today. Being the second diagnosis with cancer and working for many years with Pacific Islander Health Partnership in our Pacific Islander community, going into the community and educating, navigating, and outreaching to all of our women to get their mammograms, to get screened early for early detection. I was very much aware of what breast cancer was, what the different treatments were, and what the different options would be available to those that got breast cancer. So when I was diagnosed, I already had a lot of information, but I continued to do research, calling different friends, calling different professionals in the field that I knew who worked directly with breast cancer patients. And what I found was that there were so many women, much more women than I ever had imagined, that were affected with breast cancer. And I was able, as I had to make decisions on the different type of surgeries and different treatments that were available to me, I was really blessed with a lot of friends that had already gone through breast cancer, and also my professional colleagues and whatnot, where I was able to go to them and ask many, many questions, which helped me to make the decisions that I made for myself. Well, I know now that it takes a lot of patience to go through that journey. Um, and I think it was compounded by the pandemic itself. But um, there's a lot of waiting. You wait for the doctor's appointments, you wait for the scheduling of the tests, and then you also wait for the results of the tests. So I learned that you have to have a lot of patience, and I tried not to think the worst of anything, just to wait for the results to come back and deal with whatever I needed to deal with after the results were known. And I also found out and realized that cancer was just not uh, my journey. It was my family's journey along with me, because I have three children and also eight grandchildren, and they were all affected, including my husband. We were all affected by this diagnosis, and what made it very difficult for all of us was the fact that they could never come to see me while at first when I was even diagnosed, and then as I went through the different tests and the surgeries and the different treatments throughout that whole journey, they were not able to give me hugs or anything, and that was very, very difficult on me, and I'm sure difficult on them. So when you're going through cancer, and it's a very difficult thing to hear you have cancer, it not only affects you, but it affects your whole family, your loved ones, and many of your friends that you are very close to. And I found that many didn't know how to handle it, how to talk to me about it. So I had to reach out to them to make them feel comfortable. And once they saw that I was comfortable and I was okay with going through the different treatments and whatnot, then they relaxed and they felt a lot better. But it is a family affair, and it's a very difficult one. Difficult at the time of my diagnosis because it was right in the midst or the very beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So a lot of my appointments that were scheduled with the breast surgeon, also the plastic surgeon, along with the different tests that I had to take, were delayed in many different ways. It had to do with staffing, also because of COVID-19 many of the facilities were closed or very, very short-staffed. So what might have taken a lot sooner to get in and to get my treatment took quite a bit longer than I had hoped. And as time went by, and my very first surgery was a lumpectomy. And at the end of that surgery, there was still cancer that remained. So I had to have a second surgery, which resulted in a mastectomy and also a reconstruction. A week and a half after that second surgery, I got a very bad breast infection, landed up in the hospital again for a third surgery, and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks recovering from that. And the hardest thing for me throughout that whole experience was having cancer during a pandemic when none of your loved ones were able to come to see me or visit me in the hospital. Also, there were many times when I had to go for my tests and also for the different doctor's appointments that I really was the only person in the building that I could see. So that was pretty eerie to have to go through an experience like this, which is already, hard by itself, but to add in or the COVID-19 pandemic was an additional challenge for me. Because of the pandemic, my family and I were not able to hug each other, and it's when you're going through cancer, that's a time when you really, really need to have those hugs. They mean so, so much to the patient and also to the family. So in my case, after all of my surgeries, my children and grandchildren were not able to come into my home, and I was not able to really, touch them or hug them. But they would come to visit me, and here's my front window. And what I would do is I would be on the inside of the window talking and visiting with them while they sat out here in my front courtyard, either on the swing or sitting on the benches on my front porch. They brought their chairs to visit, and then they would bring food. And so we would be able to share a meal, but the meal was shared through the window. And so I had a little table there right in front of the window for when they came over, so that we could either, drink coffee or have a meal. And so the children were just all running around here, and I just loved seeing them because they would bring their bikes and, things for them to play with. And it was always one family at a time because of COVID-19. So I would have my daughter and her family come, and then maybe the next day my son and his family, and then the next day my other son and his family. We did not mingle as a family because of COVID-19, but I made sure that I was able to see them as often as I could. But it was very, very difficult to be inside looking at them out the window, and I'm sure it was the same for them, looking inside at me through our front window. I really learned how precious life is, and I'm thankful for each day that I awake, get up in the morning, and I thank God for another day. And I have always been very, very close to my children, my husband, and my grandchildren, but more so because of what we have all experienced. It was difficult with my first diagnosis, and then after 12 years, to have me diagnosed with cancer again was very, very difficult on my family. Today, I try to take care of myself as best as I can, trying to eat the right foods, doing the exercises that I need. But there's always a little something in my mind that says, I wonder if it'll come back a third time. But if it does, then I'll be ready to fight it again for the third time, because there's so much for me here that I need to fight for, because I want to continue to enjoy my family and see all of my grandchildren, not only graduate from high school and college, but see them having their own family with my great grandchildren. So that's something that I really, really look forward to.